Now, the holidays are such a busy time, and sure, we all know friends and family are getting together for dinner parties and all of that stuff, but like, what about those times when those dinner guests sneakily turn into breakfast guests? Little tricky. This is the time of year when you need to have a few kind of no-stress, family-style breakfast recipes up your sleeve. So today, I'm gonna show you how to make my breakfast sandwich strata. I'm excited. Now, do people know what a strata is? Like, do people know? Yeah, it's basically like savory bread pudding that you get to eat for breakfast. So it's very tasty. I'm really, really into it. And this has all the flavors of like a classic breakfast sandwich. Because if you have your guests over and you think you're gonna make breakfast sandwiches for any more than, I'm gonna say, 2 people, spoiler alert, not a good time. Absolutely not. So I love to make this. It's really easy. You can prep it ahead, pop it in the oven. You'll look like a rock star in the morning. The first thing we're gonna do is get to work on kind of sort of like a breakfast sausage situation. So I have got in this pan here 1 yellow onion that I've diced up and I've cooked down in about a tablespoon of butter or oil. Whatever you've got handy, feel free to use that. That's seasoned up with a little bit of salt and pepper, just cooking over medium heat for about 5 to 7 minutes, just until it's nice and tender and beautiful. Now, that's doing its thing, but we gotta get to work on the sausage. Now, if you couldn't be bothered to make your own sausage meat, you can just buy breakfast sausages. I fully allow that. You'd wanna use about 10 to 12 of those, but I'm gonna show you how easy it is to get like breakfast sausage flavor into just classic ground pork. So I have got a pound, or 454, sorry, grams. How embarrassing. I know my metric measurements of ground pork here. So I'm just gonna add that right on into a bowl. This is a really easy sausage recipe. Basically, we're just gonna add all the flavors of like breakfasty, sausagey deliciousness. So the first thing we need is a little bit of maple syrup, because what is breakfast sausage without maple syrup? So I'm going in with about 3 tablespoons of that. We're free pouring because it's the holidays and whatever, you know? So like, I'm gonna call that 3 tablespoons. That's gonna give you a really nice stickiness, that sweetness as well, absolutely perfect. Now into there as well, I'm going in with 2 cloves of garlic. I've got that nice and minced up. That's gonna go into that meat right there. Then I've also got about a tablespoon of finely chopped up sage. I pretty much always have sage in my crisper this time of year. It's a really good kind of woody spice, really good with turkey, great with breakfast sausage. So I'm adding that on in. Now, to give this a little bit of like classic, kind of sort of Italian sausage vibes, I'm going in with 1.5 teaspoons of fennel seed. Now, fennel seed might not be something you have hanging around, but it's really good. If you are worried about like chunking down on a little fennel seed, feel free to grind these up, but I like that. It's like a little pop, a little deliciousness. So I'm going in with just about 1.5 teaspoons of those. If you want, you can toast them up first, but since we're gonna cook this on the heat, it's gonna toast up as we cook, so that's easy breezy. Now, for a little bit of smoky flavor, I'm going in with 1/2 teaspoon of smoked paprika. This is what I refer to as the bacon of my spice cupboard, because it's always smoky, it's delicious. So about 1/2 teaspoon of that goes right on in. Give that a season with some salt and pepper, just to kind of get things moving. Go as much pepper as little as you'd like. If I was a kid, when I was little, I thought pepper was super gross, so I would not be putting pepper in this, but now I really like it, so we're good to go. And then what I like to do whenever I am making any sort of like ground meat mixture is I actually get 2 forks rather than a spoon, and I kind of make like the world's weirdest salad. Like I toss everything up just to get everything mixed together, because you actually don't wanna like press and squeeze this, because that can make things kind of tough and not particularly delicious. So just give it a mix just until everything's nicely combined. Perfect, perfect. Okay. Now, we are gonna add this sausage right on into my pan. I'm cranking the heat up to medium-high here, because I want this to cook down nicely. Just right into those onions. Pop it in. And just let that start sizzling away. You wanna cook this sausage, just giving it a stir every once in a while, just until it's golden brown and crumbly and looking perfectly cooked. We've got some, because we're on TV right here, which is very, very delightful. I love that. See it, it's nice and crumbly. It's gonna have that maple flavor, so it's gonna caramelize absolutely beautifully. Give you a little bit of tackiness on there too. So I'm gonna bring this right on over here and just set it aside, just to cool a little bit. And we're gonna talk bread. Now, anytime you're making a strata, you need some sort of bread. We are using English muffins today. So you want 12 English muffins, because that's like classic breakfast sandwich kind of situation. If all you have is leftover loaf, feel free to use that. If you got bagels, feel free to use that. But we've got 12 English muffins here, and I have toasted them. You don't have to, but I do like giving them that little bit of toast because it gives a little bit more flavor. And you just want to cut or tear these into rough bite-sized pieces. So I just go into like, you know, maybe about 6 pieces each, add those on in. And I've got a nice greased casserole dish here. Basically anything that's cute, because I am a big fan of, you know, baking something in something nice and then putting the whole thing on the table. No plating involved. Dig in. You can mess it up and it'll be fine. All right, so we're just getting those beautiful English muffins in there. If you have some that maybe are looking a little worse for the wear or a little bit stale, those are the perfect English muffins as well to use in this casserole. Also a good way to get your family and friends to eat your leftovers. Which, I'm not gonna lie, around the holidays, that's mainly what's happening in my house. How can I repurpose leftovers to make sure my friends and family eat it, and I'm not left with a fridge full of stuff? All right, so that is looking great. Now, I always like a little bit of tomato on my breakfast sandwich, so I'm going in with a cup of halved cherry tomatoes. Recently, someone asked me, they were like, Mary, you never eat a whole cherry tomato. Spoiler alert, I don't like them whole. I don't like it when they pop. If you do, feel free to leave them whole, but I'm going in halved. This is just one of those like Maryisms that no one else understands, and I'm like, makes sense to me. All right, now I'm also gonna go in with that cooked sausage. So we've got that nice in here. I'm just gonna scatter this over top. If you're someone who likes like a little bit of green on your breakfast sandwich, I obviously wouldn't put lettuce in here. That might be a little bit funny, but you could definitely do a little bit of spinach would be great, maybe some kale, just something for something green. Give that a little bit of a toss just to kind of combine. Perfect, perfect. And now we're gonna chat eggs. So since this is a giant breakfast casserole that serves a crowd, I've got 9 eggs here in my bowl. So it's a good amount of eggs. It's gonna be perfect. Now I wanna add my milk in, but anytime I'm whisking eggs and adding milk in, whether I'm making French toast or bread pudding or really anything, I like to actually beat up my eggs first. Because you know when you're like, it's already happening. You know when you're beating eggs and that one yolk just escapes you? And when you put the milk in, you can't find it, and you're like, oh, I know what's in there. So just get them all busted up, give it a little bit of a whisk, and then I'm going in with 1.5 cups of milk. You could also do cream if you're feeling extra rich and fancy, but milk is absolutely perfect. Season that up with some salt, a little bit of pepper as well. And then to give this even more really nice flavor, I also want to add in a couple of things from my pantry. If you wanted to, you could add in some more smoked paprika, give that flavor in here as well. But I'm gonna go in with about 1/4 teaspoon of garlic powder, which I always have on hand. Gives roasted garlic flavor without having to roast garlic or peel garlic, always good. And then I'm gonna ask you to really dig in your spice cupboard. Does anybody know what dry mustard powder is? Yeah, it's this thing. You've probably had it since 1972. Hanging out in your pantry. I think my mom, her container has moved with her to every house. And I think she's lived in probably 15 different places. Somehow this keeps moving. This is a really nice flavor. It's a little bit peppery, it's really delicious, and it really rounds things out. So I'm gonna go in with about, I'm gonna say 1/2 teaspoon of this. If you don't have dry mustard powder that's been passed down through your family for ages, you can totally use just plain Dijon mustard. I'd use about, I'd say a tablespoon to give a nice kind of like pop, really tasty. So just give that a nice whisk together. And then I'm just gonna pour this all over everything that's going on in that casserole dish. It's super simple. Just add it on top. Now, the only thing that's tricky about this recipe is you do need to wait. You wanna cover this with some plastic wrap, pop it in your fridge for at least 2 hours. All of those English muffins are gonna just absorb that beautiful custard that you made. Once that's done, you can also do it up to like a day or 2 in advance. You're gonna look like a star. And I'm hanging out here over by the oven because that strata that we made before the break, I popped it in the fridge. It was sitting in there for about 2 hours just to absorb all that beautiful custard. Then what I did is I added some cheese, about a cup of cheese on top, covered it with a little bit of aluminum foil sprayed with some nonstick cooking spray, and I popped it into a 375-degree oven for an hour. Then took the foil off, popped it back in for about 20 minutes, and you end up with something that looks like this, which, are you kidding me? Oh my gosh, I'm very excited. All right, if you bust this out on your holiday morning, spoiler alert, people are gonna be staying for breakfast a lot more. So you've been warned. But it's so good. It has all the flavors of your favorite breakfast sandwich. We've got English muffins. We've got that beautiful egg mixture. There's the breakfast sausage in there. We've got a little bit of tomato. Again, if you wanted to add something additional, like some greens or something, that would be absolutely beautiful. This is a stone cold stunner. You can prep it all in advance and store it in the fridge unbaked for like a day or two, or bake it, pop it in the fridge again, reheat it later, and you are good to go. Now, I don't know about you, but when I'm having a breakfast sandwich, I like a little bit of hot sauce because I like that little bit of spice. Now, in my house, I do not ever have this issue. We have about 1,000 bottles of hot sauce just hanging around. It's amazing. It's a good problem to have. But if you are in a little bit of a pickle and maybe don't have hot sauce hanging around, we're gonna reach for, you've guessed it, a pickle. We're reaching for actually pickled jalapenos. Just a jar of pickled jalapenos. That's all you need. This is great because it can stay in your pantry if it's not opened for like a real good long time. Now pay attention, it's a really hard recipe. You got your jar, your pickled jalapenos. There's that juice in there. You're gonna do this. You're just gonna dump it all in there. You can use a smoothie blender. It might taste a little spicy after, but that's okay. Pop your lid on and just give this a blitz. Now, if you want this a little bit on the kind of chunkier side, feel free to leave some of that pickling juice out, but this gives you a really nice kind of vinegary, delicious, spicy hot sauce that tastes, woo, like an absolute dream. She's piquant, and I'm very excited about it. Now, to serve, obviously, just plunk that down on your table, just in the middle of all your amazing guests. Grab your weapon of choice, whatever you're feeling. I think I'm gonna try with this guy. Give it a little bit of a cut. You can give it a scoop. I also do this, like I said earlier, with leftover bagels. We always have bagels on Christmas morning, so this is like a Boxing Day staple in our house. Just lift that out. You've got those crispy edges all around the side, that amazing breakfasty situation on the inside. You serve that up. If you're feeling a little bit spicy, maybe you're like over it and you want people to go away, add a little bit too much of this hot sauce on there, and you have got the most delicious breakfast this side of the Mississippi. I'm gonna do my favorite thing. This is what I call the chef snack, where you get to pull off your favorite little chunk, dunk it in your little hot sauce, and give it a taste-a-roo. Crispy, eggy, spicy. That is a dream come true. Hey, Mary here. What did you think? Drop your comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more of the good stuff.